begin playing Minotaur Hotel shortly. Super excited. Just getting everything set. This time you will be glad to hear that I have headphones on, so you will hopefully get nicer audio from the game. I'm still going to turn it down a little. Alrighty, and if you're just joining us, the story so far, we have encountered our lovely Minotaur man, Asterion, in not so lovely condition. We received a will or a deed to this hotel from a strange old man that we encountered in a cafe in the train station. And now we are discovering that something is amiss, that he kept telling us that he was a bad person, and he might in fact have been correct in his assessment. Sorry if the screen size keeps changing. I'm just trying to sort my life out. Okay, so Asterion has just led us into this room, and he's made us accept an oath from him that he will be our servant forever. Ooh. His grip tightens and his hand shakes from the effort, but he returns it to you. There's just enough cork left for you to pull it out. Oh, right, okay, he was, we've found some magic wine that hopefully is supposed to restore him. He's had to ask for our help to get it open, despite being a bit tsundere about it. You return the wine to the Minotaur. His gaze lingers on you before going back to the wine. His hands shake as he tries to pour a few drops of wine into the palm of his hand. He places the bottle on the nightstand. The Minotaur dabs his finger into the wine, leaving a single drop nearly falling from it, and touches one of his wounds. He repeats the process again and again. A few drops fall on the bed. His face frowns bitterly. When his handful of wine is nearly gone, he rubs his still wet hand on his exposed skull. Some of his wounds heal right in front of your eyes. Oh, look, he's almost better. The Minotaur notices you watching. His lips, or what remains of them, curl into a proud half-smile. Yes, provided this wine is available, I really can heal quite quickly. It is just a pity the full bottle I had stashed was broken. Asterion reaches a hand to his back, flinches as he grazes one of the bed sores. Offer to spread the wine for him? We gotta touch the hot bull man, right? We can't watch him suffer, especially if it means, you know, just a little bit of yaoi action, just a small amount. We simply must. Let me help you with that. You can't see it. He droops his ears in defeat, knowing full well you're right. However, he extends the bottle back to you with a speed that betrays an eagerness. His tail flicks to and fro behind him. His gaze is not so distant. Ah. You dab a piece of old gauze with the wine and get to work. Minotaur's wounds have a black tinge to them. A dark oil seems to have accumulated on them, oozing down his back in clearly defined rivers. He flinches when the fabric touches his damaged skin, but pushes back against you at the same time. His wounds close quickly, at an almost unsettling speed. 5 minutes later, you've run out of wine, but it was enough to rid Asterion of his most egregious injuries. Oh, I like how the sprite, you can see it kind of like knitting back together in stages. He's still too skinny, though. He lays a hand on his skull. Perhaps more than one bottle even might be needed. Is there any other way I can help you? Asterion has a shy curve on his lips when he looks up to you from the bed. His tail flicks to the left. He swings his hooves over the floor. When he speaks, his voice is grave, however, and rumbles with sobriety. Your kindness is greater than deserving already. Master, it would be terribly unfitting of a keeper to impose yet another task upon his master, let alone as many as you have aided with me so far. As many as you have aided me with so far. Please, worry not about me. He speaks then with a twinge of relief. Unless Master has a task for me, I shall take some rest here and then wash myself. Now I'm most unfitting for service as a keeper of the hotel. Master need not worry. Shouldn't you have some food first? What if you pass out in the bathroom? That shall not be an issue. As long as you accept me into your service, sustenance can be obtained myself. The Master commands the labyrinth, and through the oath you have granted me some of your power. I shall not go hungry again. There is much I can gladly teach you about the labyrinth, Master. It shall tend to your needs if you know how to lead it. Observe. For half a second, it's as if the entire world blanks out around you, and your mind goes blank alongside it. Now Asterion has in his hands an overflowing bunch of grapes. Do you like grapes? I hope these are to your liking. You hesitate before accepting food from him. Shouldn't he be the one eating first? The Master eats first. Only then may the keeper feed. Beyond that, Master has been kind to me, and I would be happy to share with thee. The Minotaur seems eager to have you taste the grapes. They are impossibly sweet, but you only take a few so he may start eating. He flicks his ear and tail at your enjoyment, then starts wolfing it down. He barely looks up to you now. As soon as he's run out, a new bunch appears in his hands, then a cup of water, then more fruit still. When he does finally look up to you, he slows down and tries to clean his muzzle of all the juices. As stone-faced as he's been, now visible as sudden self-consciousness. I'm sorry. I'm more a beast than I am man. Sometimes it gets the better of me. I should not be so brutish around Master. Although, in my defense, I hope Master might trust that my table manners are of a higher caliber when I'm not starving. He cracks a half smile. Even naked, with a disfigured muzzle covered with the juice of grape, quince, and olive, Asterion looks up to you with a noble-like posture. His back is straight and his shoulders shift slightly to a broader stance. There's a tinge of pride in his barely noticeable smile, the small joy of having kept his dignity even in impossibly harsh circumstances. Perhaps this would be a good moment to let the Minotaur have some privacy. I'll let you have your rest. I'll come back to check up on you later. Asterion interrupts his feeding frenzy to bow to you, dignified despite the juices running down his mouth and chest. I shall be presentable after washing up, Master. Worry not about me. And yet, minutes ago, he was barely able to stand and walk. Would showering alone be safe in these circumstances? I mean, you gotta help him, right? You know, for his safety. Right? 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 I don't know. I mean, it seems like he would want privacy, but also, I mean, we gotta, right? Are you sure you don't want help with the bath? I don't want you falling and getting hurt. The Minotaur shrinks down, his hunger giving way to a colder gaze. That was a bad choice. I speak the truth, Master. I may be frail now, but after this meal and a moment to rest, I will be strong enough to do it. I need not even venture further. There is a bathroom in this infirmary. I understand your worry, but I can do it. The air grows tense for a moment. Asterion's voice rings with an unexpected sharpness. He lays his hands over his lap and closes his legs. Please, fear not, Master. I shall look presentable the next time we meet. He bows to you and remains like that until you leave the infirmary. Damn. He's not happy about it. Chapter 2. Drink your sorrows away. You're back in the ruined hallway. It stretches into the lobby and further into the hotel. Up ahead, something catches your eye. A leather-bound volume, not too different from the check-in register you found in the reception office, has been carelessly thrown on the floor. A cursory look reveals most of its pages have been torn out, but the cover's backside contains something written in the same script from the deed. The glyphs shift and twist under your gaze, marching into place the harder you look. After a few minutes, however, it turns uncomfortable, as if your mind was being drilled by the paper. You take a seat at the lounge's bar, just a foot away from the green glass shards scattered about over the purple stain, and lose yourself in deciphering the script. Asterian's sentence. Hereby the gods of Olympus sentence the prisoner Asterion, Minoides, to eternal damnation for his meekness and cowardice in the face of adversity. With this sentence his prison created, a labyrinth born out of the ichor of the gods. The labyrinth shall welcome lost mortals with nowhere to go, in need of rest and Xenia. Among them a jailer will be placed to command and rewrite the realm. The jailer in the labyrinth's mission is to secure the prisoner's eternal torture. The jailer shall enjoy power and freedom to rewrite the labyrinth as to better enact his vision of the prisoner's torture and proper guest friendship by will of Zeus. Asterion of Knossos, adopted son to King Minos of Crete, again, is that what we're calling it? And every drop of his blasphemous blood is hereby sentenced in perpetuity to the labyrinth. By this decree, the god's will is done. You obtained the ledger. What a find, is it not? Here you are, thousands of years removed, and yet unto you the long-gone gods of Olympus still leak curses and grudges from their shriveled, crooked hands. You are part of this wretched affair as the mortal jailer to this prison, all because of that old man. You're pulled from your trance by the bang of a door closing down the hallway. The light around you has shifted. You look back to the garden and the sun is already setting. Time passed in a flash, and now the clop of hooves on marble floor echoes through the corridor. The Minotaur enters the lounge, sees you, and bows. Hello. You shake off the thoughts of doom and gather your kindness. Hello, Asterion. Did you sleep well? I did, Master. I must thank you for allowing me rest. That's good to hear. And your bath went fine? Feeling more, refreshed? It did, and I do. Thank you, Master. Asterion stands up and looks straight at you. I should ask for your forgiveness. I left you waiting without providing any tour of the hotel or its inner workings. That is unfitting conduct for the keeper toward a guest, let alone the new master. But at least now I'm in a more presentable state and at your disposal. Don't beat yourself up over it. No one would be presentable after decades locked up, and you needed a minute to gather yourself. However, if you don't mind, there definitely are a few questions eating away at me, but we can leave them for later if you're not feeling entirely well. To fulfill the duties before me, I'm well enough. What is it that Master wishes to know? Well, to start off, how are you feeling? I'll admit it, I'm a little worried about you. How are you feeling? Was the shower enjoyable? The Minotaur shifts his gaze, trying to read your expression and tone, looking for a tinge of irony or perhaps malice. I'm well. It was quite peculiar showering after all those years. I even had forgotten what running water truly felt like. It is fortunate that my wounds were closed. It could have been a painful affair otherwise. For quite a while I just stood there under the water, thinking and feeling. All of that is to say, yes, I believe I'm doing well. It is kind of you to ask. Is that all you wish to know? How did we make food appear out of thin air? Sorry, just a sec. Okay, sorry, I had to text my boyfriend. It was critically important. So we're gonna try out the dyslexia font. Might be a bit ugly, but we'll see. So, about the food? Back there, you just made fruit appear in your hands. It was like the whole world just blinked for a second. What exactly is going on? I'm afraid, in my haste and hunger, I failed to explain when you arrived. I'm frightfully sorry, my lord. To answer, this realm operates under very peculiar rules. It relates to the oath I swore. Contracts, oaths, promises. All manifestations of will from the master can be made to have binding effect. Laws in this land are self-enforcing if branded by the Lord's might, and even more so when guaranteed by formal contract. Why would it be even more so? Things are either binding or not, are they? Are they not? The one I swore, it relates to the statue of Joseph the Merciful, an ancient piece of law. In one of its articles it allows me to summon food. Under most circumstances, the swearing of the oath would have been a formal event, wherein I would have read the full statute, but this situation was dire indeed. I'm sorry, my lord. As soon as possible, I shall present you with the full statute for your consideration. Thanks. I don't like signing contracts I didn't read. So true. Always read your contracts, kids. Asterion nods and turns to leave again. No, wait. Don't go overexerting yourself. That isn't a priority right now. Getting you more patched up and getting me more acquainted is more important. Still, that isn't exactly what I asked you about. You can summon food because of the oath, but how can food be summoned like that in the first place? What kind of place is this? The Minotaur's gaze goes to the floor, his hooves scrape against it. This realm was created to imprison me, and the jailer's mission is to keep watch. For that purpose the gods saw it fit that matter could be spontaneously created. So, the jailer's job would not be interrupted by petty things such as material limitations. It is as well the master's compensation. Being able to create whatever your heart desires out of thin air, that is quite a reward, wouldn't you say? That's right, it's no small power. With some creativity, anyone could make a fortune off this place. Well, there are a few limitations. Mainly, the realm refuses to make metals such as gold and silver in large quantities, but previous masters were quite creative, and that did not stop them from amassing fortunes in their own ways. As keeper, it is my duty to instruct you on this matter. I can show you how to summon materials, sustenance, and most anything you may need. I'd appreciate that a lot, but we can leave that for later if it's complicated. I have more I'd like to discuss with you. Very well. What is it Master wishes to know? What other mythical creatures are there? I'm still a bit shaken up after learning Greek gods are real. Or were? There's a lot of implications to that, you know? For example, I can assume there's an afterlife then? Perhaps. I was sent to an afterlife after my death. It was called Hades. But that was back then, thousands of years ago. I know not what happened to that place, or to the gods, or if their realm persists to this day. Neither do I know with certainty if other afterlife realms exist in the first place, although I do believe that's the case. I was told there were other gods in distant lands. In Knossos, there was no doubt that the Egyptian Empire, North Africa for example, had a very real pantheon. It follows that they had their own world of the dead. I am aware, however, that the worship of the Olympians has long gone out of favor. Unless there's been an unexpected resurgence. I believe there are still a few worshippers, the so-called Hellenists, still practicing the old ways, but one seldom hears about them. There truly are not many. Most would consider it a dead religion. I see. Then, in this regard, very little changed since I was locked away. There's something I want to know, however. You told me about the gods and other mythical beings? I want to know more about that if you don't mind. Ah, I see. Yes, that is a question masters of previous times struggled with as well. Despite my thousands of years, I must admit I do not possess complete knowledge about the variety of mythical beings that exist. I know only of those that I knew of when I was alive, which were not many, and those that passed by this hotel. In either case, my knowledge is limited to what they were kind enough to share with me. They used a charm to pass unnoticed as humans. It was not always like that. That custom only came to truly wide practice some handful of centuries ago. When I was a child, there was no such thing. My true form was plain for everyone to see, and Father Minos made sure I was seen. Regardless, their charms never worked in this realm. Never have I been sure why, but it was always a constant. It was quite peculiar back then. Human and supernatural guests mingled together. It is always jarring at first, but after a while, it becomes special. Humans are eager to learn about the unknown, and mythical beings yearn to live without a disguise. Now, back to the 20th century. They had taken to using what was the word again? A booklet, often with a coat of arms? So these will be the passports that we found earlier in the desk of the previous hotel's owner. A passport? Yes, a passport. They would have it enchanted and would keep it close always. It was inconspicuous. But they'd keep multiple charms with them, jewelry oftentimes, in case they were separated from their documents. Did they make fake passports then? How was that? Whenever I saw them, they seemed quite official and quite real. I'm sorry that I know not much about it, but I had the impression these enchanted booklets were issued by governments. A few times I was told they had to be registered. It was quite common for mythical beings, even the staff, to be required to report back to their countries for bureaucratic affairs. Or warfare. I didn't expect there to be bureaucracy around mythical beings. Indeed, it is a tad peculiar, but I would stress that all of this I learned from previous guests. I never saw it for myself. Before I forget, I found these inside a safe near the reception. You give Asterion the bundle of passports. Are these the enchanted passports? They don't seem anything out of the ordinary. The Minotaur looks over each of the passports. His brow furrows, and his lip quivers as he glances over the portraits. Yes, these are... I recognize the names. These are their passports. Asterion closes the passports, for now unable to look at the faces and names. Truly, they hated these things. These were their shackles. Which is why they were so eager to stay and work here, in a place where they did not have to hide their true forms. Not only was it about their shape either. There was something else these passports did. They made it easy for them to go unnoticed and be forgotten. Again, I never witnessed it for myself, but often I was told it was terribly difficult to make friends, establish relationships too, when your loved ones are prone to forgetting you ever existed. That sounds rough to say the least. Theirs must be a lonely existence. Asterion shrinks in thought as he flips over the passport's pages again. He seems to hear you. His hands are tense. When he closes the last one, his gaze returns to you with a somber look, drowning in a grief too tempestuous for the mind of a mortal. Does Master have more questions? I think that's all I had in mind for now. It's just a lot to take in. That gods and mythical creatures exist, for starters, and that this place can just create matter out of thin air. Thanks for telling me all that. I'll just need some time to process it all. It is a pleasure to serve. Could I provide Master with a drink? Would that please you? He looks behind you to the wall, covered by dozens of bottles of liquor. I don't think those are safe. I checked a few of them, and, they weren't smelling right. That will not be an issue. I can muster more for Master. If it's no trouble, go ahead. The Minotaur walks behind the counter. The world blinks around you, and when you look again, he holds a bottle of whiskey. He walks with a spring in his step, but stops once he sees the purple stain on the floor. Whatever smidgen of chirpiness was on his face is gone. He lowers himself to the floor and runs a hand over the dried-out wine. He tries scraping the dust off the ground, then rubbing his hand on it, to no avail. What's on your mind? His nostrils flare with a huff. The Minotaur speaks without looking up to you. He went all the way, the previous master. It was not enough to lock me away. He had to kick out all the guests and go as far as breaking the bottles. He knew the wine could heal me. I had one in the infirmary in case I got hurt and needed help, and one here for my enjoyment. I hope he didn't break the others as well. It is impossible to willfully summon more. I think, kids, in the literary world, this is what's called foreshadowing. The Minotaur rises up and supports himself on the counter. He materializes a rag and goes through the motions of dusting. No matter. Now, what is Master's desire? I should tell you up front. The hotel's liquor is quite expensive. I mean, I do want to drink, but I feel like we should also find out about the wine. I think if I ask him about the wine, he'll still offer me a drink, but I wonder if you don't insist on being nice to him, if that gets offered to you less. Asterion may be up and walking, but he's still far from being well. He could use the help. You mentioned having more wine bottles? Where are they? I'm sure I can fetch them for you. Asterion's jaw tenses as he considers your proposal. It is not proper for the keeper to be assisted so greatly by the master. He looks down to the counter, clutching what is left of his pride in spite of his sorry condition. I suppose, however, it would be my duty to take you there regardless. If memory serves me well, there ought to be a bottle in the master's quarters. The two of you return to the lobby. The spiral staircase, now tinted orange by the skylight, remains as welcoming as before. The fourth floor has no doors, however. There. This floor is dedicated to the master and those he allows in. The hotel bends to the master's will. Wish for a door and it'll be done. My power is similar to yours, albeit much weaker. In due time, the hotel shall conform from the ground up to your vision. It barely requires you to focus. Just a passing thought is enough to make it flicker in and out of reality. The door welcomes you. It disappears after you and Asterion cross its threshold. Brother, what in the landlord core? This is not what conforms to my wishes of reality. Neither the men nor the interior design choices. This, by the way, no shade to the new artists, I think is from before the visual upgrade. Or at least it looks pretty similar. The living room ahead of you seems to have resisted the damage of time better than the rest of the hotel. It is dusty, and some chunks of the wall show the beginnings of a fungus, but that's nothing compared to the devastation you saw in the kitchen. Asterion says nothing at first. He steps forward and with a distant gaze inspects the hand-picked furniture, the meaningful trinkets, mementos from the outside world, and the lines of wooden carvings on the shelves. During the Minotaur's silence, you take the chance to explore it yourself. You follow him from a distance, running your hand on the large sofa and counting the luxurious seats around the room. This would be a fine space to host a get-together, just as adequate for a large party as it would be for an intimate meal with friends. Better yet, at this hour, under the sunset's light, the wooden floor colors the room with a soft, warm hue. There's a master bedroom with a large closet. All of its pants, shirts, suits, and so on are meticulously organized, but among them you'd find nothing you'd use. The articles, the fabrics, the cuts, the personality pervading every item, it's a relic from a different time, of a world torn apart by a different war, of a man whose shoes shall never fit you. Incredible that it assumes, unfortunately correctly, that if you live in the ulcerated shithole of America, that you will always be at war. You find the same truth in this office. Sitting on the desk is a selection of finely decorated fountain pens and a stash of documents, for the most part written in delicate calligraphy. This I unironically would want. I'm an extreme nib pen enjoyer. I have many nibs. I always want more, and cool inks, so that would be pretty peak. Especially fountain pens. Good fountain pens last forever. Master Jean-Marie's delicate signature is the most prevalent, but mixed and strewn about you find papers bearing an illegible scribble for a signature. There's a finely furnished bathroom off in a tight hallway to the side of the living room. At the end of the corridor and after a sharp turn, there's a cramped windowless chamber. I think at this point we don't quite know which of the previous owners of the hotel is which. I think Jean-Marie was the nice one who died in World War I. That's my vague recollection. And then whatever the guy is that you met at the hotel, he's the bad one. But yeah, no, he's the person who locked Asterion in, as far as we know. It has a handful of remnants of the living room's warmth, albeit muted. The wood's color is faded, the ceiling is a meter lower, and there's little to no furniture. This is the bedroom, I assume. There is, however, an austere bed that looks larger than your typical single. Beside it is a tiny chest of drawers, with a handful or two of dusty poetry books piled on top. Squeezing around and on top of them, you find a dozen carvings of little bowls, stained wood, soapstone, cracked bone. Asterion is going over the herd when you arrive. He cradles every statue in the room, examining them one by one. He opens one of the books, and a page marker falls from it. He looks down at it, but doesn't bother picking it up. The Minotaur opens a small closet off to the side. He takes out what seems to be a long piece of blue fabric. He smells it, or perhaps hugs it to his chest. His bony snout leaves a stain of blood dust on it. He sighs and shudders. The Minotaur looks back at you, acknowledging your presence for the first time since arriving here. I am frightfully sorry. I was lost in thought. As swift as his bones can manage, he folds the drapery, picks up the bookmarks, and places them on the bed. The bookmark is a small tentative charcoal sketch of a bull. This floor is the master's quarters. It contains your bedroom, office, living room, and any other installations you wish to add. This room we are in, this was my bedroom. I serve the hotel, but above all else I serve the master. It's often considered convenient to have me around, as I can cook and help with a variety of tasks. A variety of tasks, you say? Ooh. There were masters who had children, for instance. I would assist in tending to them, providing entertainment and play while the master rested. Master Jean-Marie was a man of culture. He enjoyed having me play my lyre or recite poetry for him at night. You can play your lyre for me. You play the lyre? I did. Whether I still do is another matter entirely. The Minotaur's gaze wanders away again. His hands caress a wooden carving. The wine should be in the kitchen. The two of you go there. This time there's no purple stain on the floor or glass shards thrown about. Clement's cruelty is cleaner, more surgical. The empty bottle is gingerly placed on the counter beside the sink, its contents long poured down the drain. So Clement, I think, is the person who gave us the hotel in the train station bar. Asterion shrinks down again. At least he did not damage Master Jean-Marie's carvings. Was that the last bottle? He takes a deep breath and closes his good eye. The light in the other bounces around the socket, surveying his memory. No, one more is stashed away, and it is with certainty intact. He could not known of that. That one, however, is all the way in the basement. All the way? A little groan escapes his throat, and he looks away again. Yes, it's about 30 floors down. Worry not, master, it's getting late already. For the moment, I can prepare you a proper meal and dust off your quarters. You have already expressed being overwhelmed, so you may rest for the night. I shall deal with this affair after you've gone to sleep. No, I can't let you do that. You're no state to go up and down 30 flight of stairs. I mean, is anyone? Your dedication is admirable, but absolutely not. Tell me where to find the bottle. While I go down there, you can check over the quarters if you want to go over the previous master's belongings. The Minotaur ponders your demand, battling the successive layers of discomfort at being helped by a master. Very well, I obey. Peak Bottom refuses to accept help or enjoyment. The 25th underground floor is much like this one, without doors. You may command the hotel to reveal the way. For centuries we have kept a secure storeroom. All the way down the corridor you will find a mural. The bottle should be in front of it. Alright, I won't be long. You summon the door out and leave. The glow of the golden hour is at your back from the skylight. Your footsteps echo in the space, much quicker and louder now, unaccompanied by slow hooves. Once you reach the ground floor, however, your path becomes darker and the stale dust smell increases. Your footsteps now sound shy in front of an oppressive veil. The 25th floor cannot come soon enough. A plaque on the featureless wall greets you. The door flickers in front of you with a similar eagerness. I would get so dizzy going down a spiral staircase that far. The hallway extends far into the distance, its sides lined with all sorts of relics, armor sets, musical instruments, furniture, statues, maps, treasure chests overflowing with trinkets from all ages. We gotta see the trinkets. You take a moment to examine your surroundings. There's a number of paintings laying off to the side of the room, and a bookshelf with what appears to be a collection of notebooks. You cannot resist a glance. Most of the paintings are covered in linen sheets. You recognize this collection has works dating centuries back. You take a look at the notebooks on the shelf. The first one you pick stuns you off the bat. The forms of bodies move, in and out of closely observed and full abstraction. The line quality strategically elegant here and jagged there. You recognize this. It is dozens of drawings of minotaurs, with sculptures, with models, enraged, asleep, yearning. It's unmistakable. This is Picasso's drafting book. Did he prepare the Vollard suite here? After seeing this, you run your hands along the spines of the books, the linens covering the paintings, too eager to keep looking. But right now you have another priority. There will be plenty of time to explore this collection. You put the notebooks back and proceed. As you reach the corridor's end, the objects take a sharp turn to what you expect from a museum of ancient Greece. And at the end of it, you find a mural you know well from your lessons of art history. A recreation of the Bull Leaper's fresco from the Palace of Knossos. And in front of it is a sealed bottle of wine, covered in dust, with its label faded. You obtained a wine bottle. As you move to leave, one final relic catches your eye. Locked inside a glass cabinet, a dull purple rock, in the shape of an axe head, is laid to rest. Yet its sleep is fitful, an oily black liquid drops, slow as pitch, and pools at the bottom of the case. As you approach, however, a growing smell of blood raises your hackles, and, as if awakening some deeper instinct, stops you dead in your tracks. You've got what you came here for, and your lizard brain tells you that nothing is to be gained from going a step further. You turn back and make your way upstairs. The setting sun's orange tones color the whole entire apartment. It turns the suspended dust in the air into thousands of sparkling diamonds. The previous master's carvings stare at you, wide-eyed and beckoning. The smell of old dust is so small compared to this sweet welcome. If a place could ever be alive, if it could ever be naked, this is it. The hotel itself embraces you, its intimacy laid bare. Nothing moves, and Asterion is nowhere to be seen. Silence reigns, save for a faint hum of life. You leave the wine bottle on the living room table and delve deeper into your quarters. The hum grows, louder, sharper, closer, a breathing, ragged and in pain. It comes from the office, where you find Asterion standing over the desk, sobbing with his back to you. Your footsteps are not enough to make him aware of your presence. The Minotaur cries out again and again, each grief-stricken groan welling up as if from a grave filled in too soon, carrying all the cadence of a man buried alive by inconsolable loss. Each cry a memory, a person alone he can mourn, a life forever worse for his absence. They begin meek, hardly more than a snort, when he lays his hands on the desk and curls forward, his vertebrae jut from his sallow skin, more so as he hunches over. He spits out a sob from the stagnant depths of his lungs. The dam bursts. He breaks into wave after wave of grunts and half-muffled screams. He presses his face against the desk and claws at it, leaving his marks in the pristine wood until he falls to the ground, curling up and quaking with each wave of grief. He sees you then with his tear-drenched eye and pays you no mind. Master or not, he is too overcome for decorum, ceremony, or pride. He curls further into himself, mouth covered by his hands as he lets out another muffled cry. The Minotaur's voice breaks midway through and he goes silent, even if his mouth is still locked in agony and exhaustion. But Asterion looks up to you and makes no effort to hide or cower. He tries to speak, but you can't understand his slurred words, only that even now there's a heroic effort to greet you as the hotel's keeper. I can give him one head pat. One step at a time, you cross the gap separating the two of you. Asterion's eye, fixed on you, is soon covered by your shadow. You sit by his side, back to the desk, only then his gaze drops down to the floor and into further sobbing. You drape an arm over his shoulder and pull him to you. The Minotaur doubles down on his crying, now muffled by your shirt. His fingers dig into you. They'd hurt were he not so emaciated. You rub the back of his head and let the Minotaur go at his own pace. Now washed, the fur on his head is soft, almost delicate. His ear trembles against your forearm. As the sun sets further, darkening the room, his crying goes quieter and more discreet as well. When all is dark except for the stars shining beyond the window, Asterion's hands relax, and he slouches fully onto your chest. He seems to be asleep, but his eye remains focused on you. Asterion is pacified, but you give him a few more minutes to make sure. Aw, cute. His fingers dig at you one last time as he sighs. You pat him on the back and help him up. He says nothing about what just happened, but accepts your hand. When you leave the office, he stays closer to your side. Back in the living room, you guide the Minotaur to the sofa. He sits without questioning, but follows along with his gaze as you open the wine bottle and bring it over. It was just where you said it'd be. Asterion caresses the faded label. Thank you. Cheers. Asterion forgoes using a glass entirely. He leans his head to the side so the wine doesn't drip from his exposed jawbone and drinks straight from the bottle. He savors the first gulp. He sighs, leaning his head back, and lets out a groan as his entire body relaxes. Then he returns to the bottle, this time drinking in earnest. From the corner of his eye he looks up at you. A tinge of shame spreads on his face as a drop or two of wine dribbles from his exposed jaw. It doesn't take long before his arms start shaking, however, for his emaciated musculature holding the position is a challenge. I feel like holding the bottle is a step too far. He can use a glass. You raise up a glass. Asterion rubs his bicep with a sigh. He takes the hint with a sideways smile. Once more, I'm frightfully sorry, Master. Sometimes I cannot help the brutish beast that I am. Even with one glass, he pauses only to refill his cup. Asterion leans back on the sofa, a half-smile painted on his face. Thank you so much for the wine, Master. It will take a moment for the healing to be visible, but I feel better already. Don't mention it, it was nothing. Is that so? Master, if it is not impertinent of me, would you please answer a few questions? Sure, I don't see how that could be a problem. I wish to know about the war. How did it end? Which one? The one between the Allies and the Axis. France was occupied, and Japan had attacked the United States of America. How did it end? Does France exist still? Yes, it does. France is doing fine, and the Allies won the war. A lot of stuff happened since. You briefly tell him France's history after the Second World War, especially the aftermath of the war. Extremely un-American trait to know any French history after World War II. It's a relief to hear that. Locked away all these years, I often thought of France, of its plight back then. Master Jean-Marie talked so many times about his homeland. Paris this and that, but also about the countryside, the fields of lavender and poppy, the fragrances, the vineyards, all sorts of wine. Master Jean-Marie could never go a meal without a glass. He grew up in a village, near Bordeaux, yes. He always said there was the best, period. Master Jean-Marie fought in the Great War too. He found his way to the hotel as a guest himself, a shell-shocked young man fresh off the battlefield. He inherited the deed from the previous master, and his rule over the hotel was a sight to behold. He was very kind, and had a preference for bringing in victims of war. Asterion's gaze wanders the room, lingering on every little object, the throw pillow with embroidered swans, the posed military photo on the wall, the carved soldier figurines, the French Bible, and golden candlestick. It was not easy caring for so many amputees and shell-shocked men, but it was worth it. Master Jean-Marie and I did what we could for them. He loved it here, but I suppose he loved France the most. I could not dissuade him from returning home, to liberate his country. He died in 1944. I felt it right when it happened. Felt the bullet going through my head in the middle of the night. 1 week later, the next master arrived to stay. Jean-Marie left a will, giving the hotel's deed to his brother, Master Clement. Clement has stayed at times before, to heal from bouts of becoming erratic. At that moment, though, he appeared well enough, the death of his brother notwithstanding. Clement, for the most part, meant well, and was not bad at first. He was very eager to please, to be of use to the guests. But there was something in him. Agreed, I suppose. To merely be liked wasn't enough. He and Master Jean-Marie differed greatly. Jean-Marie had a vision, to bring comfort to those affected by war. Clement, on the other hand, didn't want merely to be liked, but to be worshipped. He had his eyes on a guest, a woman who held his mind in the palm of her hand. I can only believe it went badly, very badly. So well, you saw what he did to me. The guests are gone, and the hotel has been left to rot. I had glimpsed the beginnings of madness in his eyes. I'm no fool. It was clear he was no sane man, but we all had kept him grounded before, and I'd hoped he would be harmless. I think Clement is the person that we met in the train station. I believe I met this Clement you speak of. He talked a bit about himself, said he'd squandered his one chance at doing something good, and gave me the hotel's deed. He's senile now, can barely talk right. He was looking for someone to take over the place because none of his kids would do it. When I checked the deed, it seemed like gibberish too. I could only believe he wasn't thinking right and gave me some used napkin. He said he'd done bad stuff during his life, but I never imagined anything of this magnitude. Asterian's brow furrows and his eye wanders. He twiddles his thumbs while you speak. Still alive, then? He shudders. Asterian looks up to the ceiling. His voice is relaxed now, almost soothing, but it carries a spike of sobriety. Master, if once again you would accept it, may I ask a question? This one, however, may be out of place for me as keeper. Go ahead, I don't mind answering your questions. The labyrinth was created to torture me, as punishment for my crime, but over the years, the human masters chose to impose a different will onto this realm. It began with a young man who took pity on me, and over the generations it became a haven for the lost. Though the overall mission remained the same, each master brought a different vision for it. We had a few good centuries ever since we started, until, as you saw, Clement came around. Asterian's hands cannot come to rest. Every position of his fingers discomforts him. Nonetheless, I wish to have my impertinent question answered. Is it your will to carry on with the hotel's mission? To offer sanctuary to those lost with nowhere to go? I should let you know, before you answer, that I'm quite used to suffering. I've been through worse than what you saw today. If your will is to torture me, like Master Clement did, then you need not pretend. However, you accepted my oath, and took me into your service. Now, you have treated me with kindness. I would believe, then, that you are not like him. So, please be honest, if you will. Is your wish to uphold the hotel's mission to provide respite to those in need? My servitude to you remains regardless of your choice, as I have none myself. Do we wish to uphold the hotel's mission? I feel like we've already done enough nice stuff that it doesn't allow us to outright tell him that we're gonna fuck him up. I feel like it's worth asking if it's possible to set him free. I want to do the right thing, Asterian. It may be hard for you to see that now, but I'm telling you the truth. I'd like to do what's best for the hotel and for you, which is why I have to ask, can I set you free? I'm your master, after all. We're a woke king. It's not right to keep anyone as a slave. If I can, I want to liberate you. Asterian bites his fingernail. Your words have brought him no comfort. That is kind of you, master, but it cannot be done. My sentence is for eternity, and I cannot escape it. There have been a handful of masters who have said words much like yours. They have good intentions, but cannot be realized. The Minotaur looks at you, but cannot meet your gaze. His eye shifts to and fro. Very well. In this case, I will uphold the hotel's mission. I want to be a good master, to the hotel and to you. Asterian does not answer at first. Only his deep breathing cuts the room's silence. It has been so long. I know not for how many years I was locked away. I must admit, the mere thought of asking gives me chills. Master, can you imagine? For centuries I've been tending to this hotel. It was my mercy, what saved me from torture and gave me purpose. It was hard work, and not all masters have been kind over the centuries, but it was wonderful nonetheless. I enjoyed every moment of it. And then, Master Jean-Marie died. I could have done more to try and stop him. I should have. Then he came, Clement. I'm used to pain, but I had grown accustomed to having people, a mission, a purpose. Being locked away hurt me not half as much as having my guests kicked out. Today you freed me, took me into your service, and now you tell me you wish to be a good master, to the hotel and to me. Allow me to speak frankly, I'm afraid of you. Terribly so. You are my jailer,
Over the centuries I grew comfortable with enjoying my masters, but after Clement, it's all come back to me. I'm so afraid of what you can do to me and to the hotel, with no choice but to obey your every command. I am so sorry for saying this. It is profoundly out of place for the keeper to address the master in such a way. I suppose that, even if I fear you, I've lost my fear of pain and overstepping boundaries. All of that said, despite my fear, I find myself wanting to believe you.
Astarion gets up from the sofa and, suddenly feeling the weight of his inebriation, stumbles toward you. The Minotaur kneels before you. Ah, he's crying.
I wish dearly for your words to be true. I'm not afforded choice on whether or not I shall obey you. I'm a prisoner. But if indeed your words are true, and your heart is set on being a good master, then I shall follow you, not out of duty but out of want, and were I allowed ever true freedom, I would remain by your side. I swore to serve you, and now I swear to follow you, for as long as your word holds true.
He looks up to you. The room is dark, lit only by moonlight coming through the window. You can see a glimmer in the Minotaur's eye. We're gonna give him a hug. You pull him from his kneeling position into a hug. He is light, barely heavier than a child. In your arms he's stiff and cold, but just as your hands stroke his back, he returns the gesture and rests his muzzle on your shoulder. He sniffles once, twice, and presses his face into your neck.
Thank you, master.
He breathes in deeply, as if learning your scent. Night quickly settles. The hotel has no electricity, but you can do with candles. Your shadow and Astarion slither on the walls, trembling alongside the flickering flames. Wow, what are you doing? The master's quarters are filled with the velvety sounds of life, breathing, footsteps, and furniture creaking under you.
Sorry, just 1 moment. This one deserves a screen cap. Sorry, I do not understand how this works. Okay, apologies for the sidetrackment. From outside, a passerby would see this ruined hotel with a single candlelit window. If he perchance tried exploring it, he'd only find unending ruined hallways echoing with the rustling of his clothes. He could seek out the comfort of its candlelit room, but would never find it, locked away as it is behind the doorless wall. Silence drips back over the two of you. More often than not, Astarion is turned toward you, following you with his gaze. Just when you realize how hungry you are, he summons a humble feast for you. Fruit, cheese, water, and even a bottle of regular wine. He turns his back to you to set the table. A few apples roll off to the ground after a careless jerk of the hand. You catch him giving you a sideways glance. His nostrils flare under his nervous breathing. Astarion seizes. His back broadens as he breathes in, and then his shoulders slouch forward with his exhale. He gazes back at you as if trying to say something. And after a few seconds, he returns to setting the table. His tail flicks behind him once, then relaxes. When dinner is ready, he presents it to you with a half-smile on his lips. Your candlelit dinner is simple and uneventful. Any offer to have Astarion eat alongside you is brushed off with a shake of his head. It's a long, deliberate movement. His ears whip to and fro beside his head. You ask him if there's any way to restore the hotel's electricity. There is, yes. We must light the hotel's hearth, and for that we must use a special object. It is a set of bronze mirrors that focus sunlight. It generates a pure flame, and it will bring the entire hotel back to life. Shortly after, with nothing else to do for the night, the both of you find rest in your respective rooms. This feels like a good place to stop, actually. Okay, we will resume some future time with Hades. Thank you so much for joining me, the couple of people who watched live, and to you, the viewer at home, if you are watching this later.